If the king doesn't lead, how can he expect his subordinates to follow?
What's going on, guys? It's Void Emperor Virgil bringing you another build video, this time on the Hunter Apollo. Wanted to do another Hunter because builds get a little confusing between all the different builds with Crit, Transcendence, Devourers, Gauntlet. So I wanted to go and show my Apollo build that I have found recently. Seems to give me a lot of success. So I wanted to share it with you guys. As always, we will go over the abilities first, so we'll hop right on in. Audacity, his passive. Every 10 basic attacks, he gains an attack speed boost for his next 5 attacks. So pretty much you land 10, you get 5 with increased speed, which is literally a 100% increase. So double your attack speed of a boost for the next 5, which is really good for trading, or if you're in a fight, outshooting with that little bit of extra speed might win you that trade. His next ability, so beautiful, is a line skill shot. Pretty straightforward. You press it, it goes in a line, it does damage. This is your main damage. Wave clear, yada yada. Obviously, as you can see, successive enemies take 15% reduced damage. So you want to try and get it on that first target. You don't really want to waste it trying to shoot through, 2 targets if the guy you want isn't in the back, even though it'll do damage. You can do it that way, but if you get the chance, you want to use it on your primary target. Your next ability, Serenade. He uses his voice and stuns everyone around him. So pretty simple. He just stuns everything around him, helps you deal with some pesky Lokis and Ao Kuangs and a few other people diving in on you. Gives you that chance to reset or aim, get out, do whatever you want to do. Which goes really well with his next ability, the moves. He rolls forward, and it does a little bit of AoE damage and knocking people backwards or away from where he's standing. So you can use this to roll in for the engage, and then use your stun to keep him there, or you can stun him with your second ability and then use this to get out. So many different abilities, so much movement in his kit. It's really amazing what he can pull off. His ultimate, Across the Sky. After a channel time, he will get up on his chariot. He will go up into the air. It will drain his mana the longer you're in the air, so you do not want to use it to fly clear across the map unless you absolutely have to. And pretty much as you land, it'll do some damage as you're landing. So as you can tell, very high mobility kit with some damage built in as well, but he's very auto attack based with a lot of movement. So it kind of helps with if you're one of those people who struggles with positioning. Having that stun, having the roll, the ability to reposition yourself is a bit more forgiving than some of the other hunters, which is why I think I kind of like him. The ability to be aggressive or get out is just very helpful. Let's go ahead and move on into his items. I've been going with this item recently because I wanted to see what the hype was, and I do finally see it. Throwing Dagger is a great starting item. Gives you power, gives you crit, and it gives you the ability where when you're autoing those minions, it does a little bit of AoE damage to the other minions or gods if they're standing there. That doesn't sound like much, but it helps you a little bit faster killing some of the minions without using your ability so often. And that 10% crit can help you wave clear faster. Plus, if you get into an early trade, if you get that 10% crit and you do that like 127, 130 hit off the start, you out-trade the person who was autoing you unless you really messed up. So you can force people out of lane fairly easy if you just weave a few autos in on the gods in between the minions. So it's really, really strong. Very, very bully item. Do not get this if you're looking to sustain. Get your normal starting items. Do not get this unless you are looking to be aggressive and bully because you do not have the sustain. But don't go over crazy with it and diving into the minions because the minions will shred you. This is just a good bully item for poking at them a little bit with your auto attacks. With this, you're only able to get 4 pots. I suggest 3 health pots and 1 mana pot. Because if you're not going to use your abilities that often, you prefer the sustain. You can split them to 2 if you prefer. I just think 3-1 works better. Your first item you want to build is Warrior Tabby. You don't want the attack speed boots because you have the passive increasing your attack speed, plus we got that later in the build. You want your abilities to hit as hard as you can early in the game. Next is Ichaival. giving you that attack speed that you were looking for with a little bit more penetration. And of course, the passive of your basic attacks increase your power by 10. So it's not bad, gives you a little bit of early game power and penetration for dueling the other squishies. At this point, you have a decent amount of attack speed, but we're going to add on to it with kin size. Right around the time you get this item, you're going to be entering that point in the game where a lot of rotations are going to start happening. Gold Furies are going to start being looked at if they haven't already. So you're going to want to hit those beefy people a little bit harder. Kin size gives you the ability to do that, giving you the power, the attack speed, and the 4% maximum HP on the passive. So once you have these 3 items, your mid-game's ready to go. You can start dealing out some decent damage. Obviously, your next item, you are missing sustain, so you're going to move right on into Aussie. Gives you more attack speed, lifesteal, penetration, and of course, the passive giving you the extra lifesteal when you're low. These 4 items are the core items you're going to want around mid-game or towards the end of mid-game, but you want them as early as you can because this will give you a lot of fighting power. Makes you pretty strong on Apollo, especially with the passive. Your attack speed's pretty high at this point. Every time you get that passive off, you get even more attack speed for those 5 autos. Just synergizes with him so well. Next item I suggest to go is definitely Rage. It's more crit, so you're at 30% crit counting your starter item with physical power. And the best part about it is if you do not crit, it will build up stacks. Well, you have so much attack speed plus your passive, you're going to get so many auto attacks off. You're going to build the stacks on Rage very fast to the point where you're going to crit fairly easily during a fight. So you want this item because if you're already stacking with your autos to build up attack speed with your passive, go ahead and add the crit stack on there. And then last but not least is Titan's Bane. Titan's Bane, your typical armor penetration item, giving you that armor pen to shred through the tanks at the end of the game, which you will need unless they are running a 5-man damage comp, which would be a little awkward because not having a tank is normally a bad thing. You need at least one, but Titan's Bane, definitely last item. Once you reach this point, you do have one of 2 options for a sell. You sell Ichval. You definitely sell this item late game. Your options, however, you can go into a Executioner if you want to keep some of that attack speed and damage in there with a little bit more armor shred, so you can keep the armor shred going and you get some of your attack speed. If you're happy with your attack speed from your kin size, your Aussie, and your passive, then you get rid of this and you get Deathbringer. That way your crit is up there, your crits hit harder. Thanks to Rage, you'll be critting quite a bit more often. So it's up to you if you prefer to go the more crit-heavy route with a little bit of extra damage, or if you want to go Executioner and shred their defense that much more. Either way, that is the build I have found a lot of success on recently. If you guys like it, let me know. Hit that thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit that thumbs down. Let me know why you didn't like it or your build. If you want to see a specific build video on a specific god, let me know, or gameplay video, I will look for it. And that is all I have for you guys today. This is Void Emperor Virgil, going back to the Void.